Hello everybody, Reggie Time here for my fifth video this week. Today we're going to be reviewing some hands I played at 25-1L on Coin Poker via their replayer. Feels easy to do it this way than recording sessions and then showing them on four table view. Someone gave me some feedback that it was difficult to see the four table view. I think we're watching it on a small television or something, but I imagine it's also a bit shit on mobile devices too. So I think the one table view is better. So we're going to be doing it like this in future for the coin poker reviews. And I think quite a lot of the content is going to be coming from this in the coming days and weeks because it's now pretty much turned itself into my main site. I play a little bit on iPoker, quite a lot on here, and I did a bit of speed poker towards the end of last week and earlier this week in an attempt to get some quicker experience or for want of a better way of putting it, to improve my muscle memory on pre-flop that I've been trying to make some changes to. I haven't got anywhere near what I want to be with that yet, but I don't want to play as much speed poker as it would take to learn that quickly. So I'm accepting that that might be a slightly slower process, but I just don't want to play speed poker. I much prefer reg tables. And I really like this site, and they getting to know most of the players. It's not an especially large player pool, but the benefit of that is that you get to know people a lot quicker, and you can start to make some good reasons, some good adjustments. Um, so yeah, that's probably going to be my probably the site I put the most volume. I'd say probably it's going to be maybe something like 70% of my volume here, 30% iPoker, not much anywhere else. Anyways, let's just crack on with watching the video. I've had to slow it down a little bit, so it's going to look a bit weird. The cards are going to come out a bit more slowly, and that's because like the action in the replay is really quite quick otherwise, and sometimes we'll end up seeing what happens before I've had a chance to discuss it properly. So yeah, it might look a bit weird, but I'm sure it'll be fine. So here we're in the big blind with 8-7 of diamonds. Opponent over here, Titty Ben, is a player I'm quite familiar with. He opens from the cutoff. He opens pretty wide range. It has been known to open stuff like four deuce suited from middle position and other stuff. He's definitely a reg. He plays like 3-4 tables. I think he's too loose, too aggressive. He's a little bit punty. Um, Probably makes money because I imagine if his results were put into a database, he'd probably do quite well at Redline because he's just very, very aggressive. He's like wide open and very aggressive with it. Quite familiar with him. We flop trips, and my plan here is pretty much just going to be um, check call. And I don't know about rivers. This is a problem I have with when we flop trips against aggressive opponents. You know, do we just check raise straight away? I mean, I'm pretty sure this player is going to be c-betting this board very, very, very high frequency. Do we just raise immediately with our strong hands like this? Strong, but well, not even vulnerable hands, but our strong hands. He's quite often going to double barrel if he picks up any equity, I assume. But then maybe not fire the third bet. So I always like, I'm never quite sure how to play these kind of these hands were against aggressive opponents who probably aren't likely to triple barrel. Do we ever put a check raise in, or do we go check call donk? Do we go check turn if he checks back? Then obviously he's lead river. I'm never quite sure how to proceed with these like really strong hands on these board sections where if we raise, our opponent's just going to fold so many hands. I'm never quite sure how to proceed with them. Anyway, our opponent bets, we make the obvious call. Turn is a 3. We check. He bets 3/4 pot. So do we raise now? If he's barreling with the draw, then he probably isn't going to fold it. If he's barreling with the king, then probably not going to fold it. I mean, we make you fold his air, but how often do we think even like super aggro players triple barrel air on this sort of board texture? I'm not sure. Could we raise the flop? Should we raise the turn? Given the reads that I've shared with you, which might not be accurate. They seem like that, but they might not be. Are you raising at any point? Are you raising now? Are you checking again and then calling on like non-spade rivers, etc.? Yeah, I find these spots not difficult because we've got trips, but kind of tricky to. Do we ever put a raise in, or do we just let him do his thing? River's a king, which is a bit unfortunate. And that opponent 2x pot shoves. which I hadn't seen him do this before, but it's an unusual spot, isn't it? You know, it's not unusual, but yeah, I'm not sure about this. I mean, I called really quickly in the moment. I was like, well, this guy's just such a fucking aggressive player, such a punter. He can absolutely have had some um, just some flop backdoor flush draws that he's tripling off with. He could have turned a spade flush draw, just tripling off with. Then of course he has some king X. Well, I think it's like how much king X do they have here? I guess it depends how many king X you don't from the cut. I imagine he's probably opening all suited king X, so he probably has quite a lot of king X to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm a fucker for paying these off, but I think against this opponent, without it's unfortunate the kings come. But with our hand pretty under reps, we look very capped. I couldn't fold against this guy, and I called too quickly. I think I should have given it a bit more thought. I still would have concluded call, and sadly this time he had the king queen, and we lost a big one straight off the bat. That was very early in the session. It was pretty disappointing, but never mind. These things happen. So this one is interesting too. Yeah, I've raised the button to 3 big blinds after. Why have I made it 3 big blinds? I normally make it 2.5 big blinds. I don't know why I've made this 3 here from the button, because normally my standard open would be 2.5 bigs, so I'm not sure why it's 3 there. Our opponent is a regular B Gazzy. I'm presuming it's a Gazzy B fan who's decided to do a bit of a tribute act to him. I know, because I've been doing a bit of pre-flop studying, that we can sometimes, at a very low frequency, 4-bet pocket 8s against aggressive 3-betters here. And this player is a relatively aggressive 3-better. I think the problem is that people are usually quite polarised with their big blind 3-betting ranges. So I'm not sure we want to be taking a hand like pocket 8s and 4-betting it. I don't know. I'm gonna get out of my depth if I continue this conversation. But it feels like we should probably have quite a polarised 4-betting range here and not be 4-betting stuff like pocket 8s. It feels like it's a bad 4-bet, but we're about to do it anyway. Because I rolled very, very appropriately for this. I didn't want to do it. I'd rather have just called, but I'm like, well, no, if it's in there as a 4-bet sometimes against this type of opponent, then you've got to just do your roll. And if this is the time it makes you do it, then it's the time it makes you do it. And sadly, I didn't want to, but I was forced to do it by my roll. And an opponent calls. We get this flop. I was like, right, okay, this isn't a good start. We do a backdoor straight draw. And I guess we have a bit more ace-X than him, because I'm going to be 4-bet bluffing. Or, not 4-bet bluffing. Some of my light 4-bets are going to come from some ace-X stuff. Ace-4 suited, ace-5 suited, maybe even some higher ace-X suited now and again. And so I think I have quite a lot of ace-X. Of course, I have a lot of queens and kings and probably like jacks and 8s in this occasion that have done this. So I'm not saying we have like a particularly large ace-X advantage here, but I think it's a board that we're just going to have to see bet quite a high frequency, and I think we can go really small. I ended up going 15% pot, something like that, which is maybe too small, who knows. But we got 15% pot because Shitreg mashing buttons. Our opponent calls. Turn is a 9, which is a total brick. I didn't want to check back here and then have him lead rivers and me just have to fold. So I just clicked buttons again and went with with whatever the fuck that is, 20%, something like that, 15, 20%. Yeah, I'm just mashing buttons at this point, and I'm literally just clicking buttons like the fucking shit reg that I am. These are the problems when you start like trying to improve your pre-flop game and do things that that are more approved by solvers. It fucking gets you in some spots post-flop you are totally not used to playing. I mean, I've got a 4-bet pot with pocket 8s in position versus big blind. That's not a spot I'm ever in. It might be one of the first times I've ever been in it, and then clearly I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just mashing buttons. Maybe I'm playing this hand like a fucking genius. Maybe I'm playing this hand like a fucking moron. And I strongly suspect it's the latter. So we bet again. He calls again. River's a 10 of diamonds. He checks a third time. Now it's like, do we just go all in and try and make our opponent fold? What, pocket jacks, pocket queens? It seems like there's not going to be a lot he's going to fold at this point. If we go all in, but it also feels like we can't win if we check. So I just mashed another button. And I put the lot in. This entire hand's just a total clusterfuck. I think the 4-bet pre is thin and needless in these games probably, and post flop's just been like an absolute clusterfuck. I mean, maybe I played it like a genius. But if I played it like a genius, it's just a happy coincidence because I was just clicking fucking buttons like a moron. Fortunately, our opponent folded and, we won the pot. But, I mean, that just could be an absolute, it's pure spew, maybe. Maybe it's pure spew. Maybe it's, theoretically really good. But even if it is, it's the fact I've done it is by sheer chance, not because if that turns out to be really good, it isn't because I'm really good. It isn't because I know what I did is really good. I was just mashing buttons like a fucking moron. So now we're moving on to Ace King. We've raised from middle position. We get a King XX flop. And we checked because I had to read this player was, are these positions right here? This doesn't look right. Yeah, sorry. I was getting my placement. This player can be quite aggressive. It's multi-way. I don't think we necessarily always have to bet our king at ace king. Let's just rewind it back a little bit. I didn't see this player's live cards there. So we checked. And I probably wasn't planning on check raising. I was probably just planning on check calling and seeing some turns. I expected this person to bet with a relatively high frequency. When we check, he didn't, though. Then we just end up leading the turn for around half pot, which I think is reasonable. We don't just want to give any free cards to flush draws. I think if any of these two guys had a flush, they would have led the turn. I think if this guy had a flush draw, he would have bet the flop quite a lot. So I don't think there's too many flushes out there. I don't think there's too many sets out there, unless someone's turned exactly a set of threes. I think we just had the best hand a lot, and we're just betting high pot for value. Button calls. Everyone else gets out of the way. The river is a 3, and my read is that this guy is quite aggressive. He uses quite big sizes quite often. I considered checking here and allowing him just to bluff, but I didn't want him to check back a hand like, I don't know, pocket sixes with a club or something like that, or just some random pair without a club that can just check back and hope to win. So I decided this was a conscious decision to block bet here, hoping to induce a raise from him, which we got. That come way too quickly for my liking. I didn't want that raise to come through yet, but yeah, this is a deliberate, conscious act to try and induce a raise. I thought there was more chance of making money on this by blocking and hopefully calling a raise than there was just by betting bigger ourselves. Although I guess we could get bigger and still maybe induce a raise, but it seems much less likely. This player to me feels like the sort of guy who will, if he suspects there's somebody's showing some weakness, that he will try and get after it. So this was very much a deliberate block bet to induce. It did induce a raise from him. That's not to say we got the best hand, of course, but it did induce a raise from him, and I was very happy to snap call. And we did induce a bluff from him, and I was really quite pleased with myself for my entire line there. I thought I played that hand quite well, and I was enjoying it. I was enjoying the situation of just completely just. I was a puppet master pulling his strings, and I pretty much enjoyed doing that. This one's a fun one. We have our friend Titty Ben again, who we played in the first hand, who had the full house, who overbet shoved the river. He's opened from the cutoff. We're about to defend 10-6 suited in the big blind. We flop nothing whatsoever. We check. he checks back. So when a player like this caps themselves on this type of board, I just don't see this player checking back ace-x very often. Maybe once in a while he checks back some of his like weakest ace-x. Like maybe he's got a hand like ace-3 of diamonds or something that hasn't got any backdoors. Well, backdoor wheel draw, but no backdoor flush draw. Maybe once in a while checks that back. But I expect this player to just see but this board with close to 100% frequency in position. So when he does it, when he caps his range, I start thinking about, right, what sort of nonsense bullshit can I come up with that I don't really understand just to try and like win this pot, because 10-6 suited is not going to win this pot. At showdown, of course. We turn a gut shot, we check again. Now our opponent bets, whatever that is, like 60% pot, something like that. And I decide at this point, right, okay, he's capped his range on the flop. Now he wants to bet the 9. Now, of course, he could have turned a set of 9s. Maybe he checks back a hand like 7-9 on the flop, and now he's turned 2 pairs. But generally speaking, we turned a good shot. We're going to get busy. So I went with a check raise here, expecting this player just to fold a lot. Maybe he's just like giving up the flop, capped his range, and we checked again. He's just trying to win the pot with a small bet. I think this check raise has a pretty high success frequency against this player type who theoretically cap themselves on the flop. He disappoints us by calling. River's a total brick. We have to bluff the river. I mean, he can have some club draws that didn't want to bet the flop that call. He can have some. Who knows what he can fucking have? But ultimately, I don't think he had an ace very often because he checked back the flop. Whatever calls a turn, 10-8, Jack-8, 6-8, there's all kinds of things he can have that open and then bet that turn. And all the draws that the turn creates, he then calls a check raises. So many missed draws he can have. Some of them we're ahead of. Obviously, we're ahead of 8-6, but we can't call. If we check and he bets with 8-6 like I expect he would, we can't just hero call with our 10 high. And I think this bluff has a really pretty good success, high chance of success. Unless he's just turned a monster with, say, 9-7 or pocket 9s, then I don't think he's going to be able to call this very often here. And I also think this player, if he did turn a monster with 7-9 or pocket 9 or something like that, would definitely consider 3-betting the turn after I check raise. So I like my bluff here. I like my line. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But this was actually, I thought this out pretty well in game, and I was happy with my bluff. I think I executed it well. Fortunately, he folds. So again, I felt like a fucking genius. But yeah, I was happy with that. Whereas that the previous hand with the 8s, the 4-bet pot with the aces, and I just felt like I didn't know what I was doing, just clicking buttons. I felt pretty much in control of this entire pot, and I was really happy with my play and happy with the outcome. Here we have pocket 10s in the big blind. We have, so far, nothing has happened. So we have a min raise from the button. This player, I think, is recreational. I don't see him very often. He never seems to be playing more than one table. We have the easiest 3-bet in the world from the small blind. And then this, in my opinion, decent, solid, albeit a little bit tight, but solid reg. Just cold calls the big blind. I'm like, what? What is this? So we have to start like assigning ranges to big blinds cold calling. And ace, queen suited maybe, pocket 9s, pocket 8s maybe. It's a very narrow and strongish range. He sort of doesn't want to 4-bet get it in, but doesn't want to just fold it either. So I think we're looking at 9s, 8s, ace queen suited, maybe some ace king, but I doubt it. But it's not a lot of hands in this range. So when he cold calls, I'm like, oh dear, that's probably not ideal. It's going to be difficult now. And then the open raise to fold. So we've managed to isolate ourselves against the better player out of position. But we're bailed out because we flop ourselves a beautiful top set. We check because it's not really a board that's going to massively improve our pre-flop. I mean, it has this time, but we don't have pocket 5s at all. I don't have pocket 9s at full frequency. Pocket 10s I probably do have at full frequency. We have over pairs too. But yeah, I mean, maybe we should just bet here. I mean, I could be talking bollocks, but against a player as tight as this player is, as solid as this player is, I don't think he's going to make too many mistakes versus my bets. I would rather check maybe like weaken my range so we can get some lighter calls on later streets. Maybe induce some bets from him with hands that think they want to try and protect. Maybe get some bets from him from hands that think they're behind but can make us fold, etc. I think he's going to make more mistakes long term versus my checks than he is versus my bets. So I elected to check, and then he bet, and we just call him. Not point raising. Turns another 9, so we turn a full house. We check again, and our opponent bets half pot again. And this he's got quite a few different sizes post flop, but I haven't figured out what they all mean yet. I'm getting closer to it, but I haven't figured out what they all mean yet. I think he's got a large bet that I think is usually his. I've got a pretty good hand, but it's vulnerable sizing. He's got a small bet of like 1/3, which I had no idea. I haven't really got to show that much against that. And then he's got this like half pot size, which I think is relatively confident. I've got the best hand, and I'm not too worried about the situation sizing. So at this point, I thought this guy just got a pretty good hand here. Didn't know what exactly, but I felt like, we could just get some value by raising. I don't know what he could have. I don't know what 9x he has apart from quads. I guess I just don't know. But he just felt in the moment like if we raise here, we're just going to get paid. Just a feeling I had more than anything else. Can't really put my finger on why. So we did just ship it in. Our opponent snap called. We river quads, which is very useful, and our opponent had 2 queens. So yeah, of course he should just call 4-bet pre-flop. Maybe he didn't want to because maybe he, thinking about keeping David Poker in on the button. Maybe he was just worried that he couldn't get queens in pre against a nick like me. Who fucking knows? But that turned out very nicely, and it was turning out to be quite a nice session. This time we don't remember this time, we have a King Jack in the... Alright, we've raised the button, fine. We get called by someone I'm not that familiar with. I thought he was a recreational player at first, but last night he was at more tables. I still didn't think he was much good, to be honest with you. I guess that's kind of my read on the most of the coin poker 25 and up population. There are definitely some fish dotted around, and then there's like maybe 60% of the pool is regs that I think I'm better than, ranging from being like okay regs to flat out bad regs and maybe just like relatively tight but spewy fish. He would fall into the regs that are definitely worse than me, in my opinion, category. Maybe he's not a reg. Maybe he's a recreational player who's playing multiple tables last night. I'm not sure, but it's not someone to be scared of anyway. So anyway, we flop 3 jacks. I bet whatever that is, 30% pot. He check raises, which I think is a bit unusual on this board. He doesn't have a particularly strong range advantage. He really doesn't have a range advantage in this board, full stop. Maybe he's just reacting to my bet size. Maybe he's just got a medium pocket pair that doesn't want to let me just like see turns and potentially rivers for such a small price. If he's got a hand like pocket 8s, pocket 6s, pocket 5s, he might just be testing the water here, just trying to make me throw away my range, the parts of my range that are betting this flop that have good equity against pocket 5s, pocket 6, but can't handle a raise. Whatever he's trying to do, we just have that super easy call. Nothing else to be said about it. We turn a full house. We've got the nuts now, as far as I'm concerned. He has pocket kings, then good for him, but he doesn't have pocket kings, obviously. So we just got the absolute nuts. Our opponent checks again. So at this point, I'm thinking, yeah, right, fine. He's just had his pocket 5s, pocket 6s, and now he's just a believer. I elect to bet really small, just hoping and praying something good happens. I think he's just giving up most of the time. I think he's like had his little go on the flop. Hasn't worked out for him. He's just shutting down and giving up. But I just thought we'd just bet really, really tiny reg. Just reopen the betting. maybe something good can happen. And it does, because our opponent check raises. Again, which is really nice. Again, I think considering I think he's like really quite weak. I mean, if he's got a jack, great. We're getting all the money anyway in the river. So if he has somehow played a jack this way, which seems remarkably unlikely, but if he has somehow played a jack this way, we're going to get all the money anyway. There's no reason to do anything other than call here. If he's bluffing, let him continue bluffing. If he's value betting or value raising a hand like pocket sevens, then no reason to. I mean, he's going to bet down the river. We're going to shove. He's going to call anyway. So it's really just the easiest call ever. Nothing to be said about it. We've still got the nuts as far as I'm concerned. Our opponent bets 7 on the river. But he's going to go all in, of course. And he snap called. And I was like, oh, right, okay. No idea what he's got, but probably pocket sevens would be my most likely candidate for hands that he's going to turn up with here. And he had the Queen Jack offsuit, which I think pre-flop, he's made a fundamental mistake pre-flop by just calling Queen Jack off in the small blind. That's just not a thing. And this is what I say about the regs on this site, and I'm not trying to dig anybody out, but it's 25-0. What do you expect? You know, I include myself in this. We're not highly skilled regs. I think I am better than a lot of 25-0 regs. Many 25-0 regs would not agree with me. Many of you watching this video maybe think, you know, that's not true, Reg, but I am. You know, I'm a way above average 25-0 player. So I'm very comfortable in this pool, which is why I'm probably making it the site where most of my volume is going to be concentrated now, because I can just get 4 tables. It's very nice pace. It's just a comfortable pace for me. I feel like I've got a good edge, and I'm getting good rate back. So yeah, it's a good fit for me. So if you think you're better than me at poker, and maybe you are, maybe you're not, but if you think you are, then you need to come and talk to me about getting into these pools, because if I know that I've got I don't know because I haven't got a good enough. Yeah, I haven't got enough data yet. But I'm very confident I'm going to have a good win rate in this pool. If you think you're better than me, that means you're going to have a good win rate in this pool too. So do get in touch and come and try and prove it. Pocket 10s on the button. We have a limp from another recreational player. We raise to $1.22. And if we get limp raised, I'm like, all right, okay, well, this dude's probably just got aces, probably just got kings, but maybe he has ace king or something like that. I just wanted to fold right now, to be honest with you. I really wanted to just fold. Fine, just take my money, mate. It's, you know, good for you. If you're bluffing or if you're doing this with a slightly worse value hand like pocket 9 or pocket 8s, good for you. Take my money, but I'm a stubborn cunt. It's a leak. So we call. Then we get this flop, and I'm like, uh-oh, this could get messy. Because, you know, on balance, it's a good flop for us. There's no ace, no king, or no queen on it. And he did this literally within like a nanosecond. I was like, oh no, Reg, you're just going to torch off a full fucking stacking with pocket 10s against somebody who's just representing like, in a really monkey shitty way. He pretty much told me, yeah, I've got pocket aces, but what if he's got ace king and he's just trying to buy the pot, you know? What if he's just got pocket 9s and he's just like, oh shit, all in before shit cards come? Yeah, I was not comfortable with this spot. You know what? I'm a fucking station quite often, but I think. I mean, I ended up folding here, and I think he was just too greedy. If he'd have used a different sizing structure post flop, he might have got a lot from me. I think he's played his hand in a way that gives me the best chance to get away. Maybe he's bluffed me, you know, and if he has, then absolutely fair play to him. But this just looks too greedy to me, and I just didn't want to reward his greed, or what I thought was his greed. So I just folded my hand, and I was relatively comfortable with it. And it shows what the cards would have been, and we wouldn't have improved, but maybe he wouldn't have improved either. So we're going to the last hand. We have pocket kings. No idea why that's jumped pre-flop. What's happened? Can we even tell? Yes, this guy opened, this Titty Ben, who's like really loose, really aggressive. We're super deep. We're almost 200 big blinds deep. I elected to just flat the cutoff. And there's a few reasons for this. The first reason is I didn't want to face a 4-bet super fucking deep, which is someone who's very aggressive. He also has like an incredibly high like flop turn river barrel frequency. So having some stronger hands in my flatting range and having him see that I'm capable of flatting stronger hands, hopefully dissuades him from just using that strategy against me as often, you know. I mean, if you're an aggressive player who like just opens too wide and just barrel post flop all the time, if you see someone who's capable of trying to like set traps for you pre-flop, it's going to make you less inclined to want to be as aggressive with them. So there's an element of I don't really want to get 4-bet this deep when I've got pocket kings. I certainly don't want to get pocket kings in 200 blinds deep. Even though this guy is like a bit of a blaster, I still don't think it's going to be too easy to get 200 bigs in pre-deep with pocket kings against most players at 25 and L. It's a bit weak from me. It's a bit nitty. Well, it's not. It's very weak. It's very nitty. But I also do think like I said, there's a little bit of merit to it in terms of like tapping him on the nose and saying, "Look, mate, I'm going to have some traps sometimes, so you can't just blast off against me." And then there's also the chance that we could get squeezed behind by one of these guys. But generally speaking, it's a flat because I didn't really want to play potentially a 4-bet pot with pocket kings because I'm just a fucking nit. 200 blinds deep, 100 blinds deep, it would have been easy. 3-bet, whatever, blah blah blah. Get on with it. 200 blinds deep. And like, there's a lot of things that can go very badly wrong here, and I don't want to deal with that. I'm having a good session. I'm enjoying myself. I'm chilled. I'm listening to music. I'm having fun. Let's not fucking spoil it by just dusting off 200 bigs with pocket kings. Because if I did 4-bet, sorry, if I did 3-bet, he 4-bet, I would just 5-bet and then, you know, he's only continuing range in his pocket here. I just didn't want to get involved in that shit. Weak, call me names, it's fine. Because it's true, you know, it's weak, it's shit, it's pathetic, it's honest. So anyway, yeah, we just called. We checked back the flop, hoping to induce some nonsense from him on the turn. Remember last time when he capped his range by checking, he then like called a check raise. So yeah, I think even though this guy sometimes caps himself, he's capable of finding aggression on future streets. On the turn, he just decides to go with an overbet. I just call. Just keep all his bluffs and stuff in. Again, I kind of want to show this hand down with him a little bit to just let him know, like, you know, the part of the reason I went to flat pre is to either like just get loads and loads of value pre-flop or post-flop, have him, you know, like maybe we get to showdown, maybe it goes bet, call, call, maybe it goes blah, 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 we check, he calls us down or what have you. But I didn't mind showing his hand down to make him aware that, you know, he's not just going to get to blast and just like get me off capped ranges a lot because, you know, even when I appear caps, I still have some strong hands in my range. That was kind of the message I was trying to send out. Again, really fishy, old school shit logic. I imagine a lot of you guys think, what a fucking fat, useless old nit you are, talking bollocks, Reg. And that's fine. I am what I am, you know. River comes an ace, and he now blocks. But there's nothing we can do now. We've kind of fucked ourselves. If he's got an ace, then he's just going to have to get our money. We can't fold. And we certainly can't raise, so we just call. And he had pocket queens. I have no idea what his river block's all about. Maybe it's value against who knows what, pocket nines maybe, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know why he didn't see bet the flop, given he is a blaster. I mean, there's an awful lot to unpack in that hand. I should obviously 3-bet pre most of the time. He should obviously see bet the flop. Yeah, it's just two morons flapping around, isn't it? Basically, but that's it. That's the end of the hands. This is most likely going to be the format for most of my videos going forward. There may be the occasional one from iPoker, where I do some high poker hand reviews because those games are crazy good sometimes, and sometimes they're awful. Yeah, I imagine most of my content is going to come from Coin Poker because most of my plays there. I feel a bit bad because it feels like I'm just spamming. But as you've seen this week, and in the Facebook group, I'm not overly spamming this site. People can just watch the content and decide whether they want to come and play. Um, if I make a few bob on the affiliate side long term from it, then great. If I don't, then I don't. I'm not too bothered. It's a site that I want to play on personally. And if I did have an affiliate deal, and potentially like an affiliate deal for you guys, then I would probably still be creating this content. If I was just playing here off my own Steam with nothing to offer anybody, this is still the content I would be making. So I'm not going to feel too guilty about it. It is what it is. If you're interested in what the deal is, Coin Poker offers 30% flat rate back that paid direct to the client. And if you sign up through me, if you get in touch with me, I'll give you a link to sign up. You will then get a further 10% rate back monthly, paid direct to you via P2P, via like a player-to-player transfer, like within the first 2 or 3 days of the following month. So, for example, if you've been playing all of October and you're owed an extra $40 in rate back, in the monthly rate back, you would probably expect to see that by no later than like the 3rd of October, because it's all done manually. And I'm not sure exactly how quick the lad's going to be able to do it. This month, for September's rate back, we got paid it on the 1st of October, but there was only me and a couple of other players. Obviously, as we get more players, maybe it'll take a day or so longer, but everything's going really well so far. Everything's going really smoothly. And yeah, the content appears spammy. Hopefully, it's still interesting. Even if you do think it's spam, hopefully it's still interesting to the sort of people who like watching my content. And yeah, you don't feel like I'm abusing you, because I promise you I'm not. I'm not doing this to spam a site. I enjoy making videos. I enjoy trying to like build my channel, even though it's kind of stagnated a little bit in terms of the numbers of views I get. And I enjoy trying to point you guys in the direction of things that I think might be better for your bottom line. If that comes across as spam sometimes, maybe there's an element of that in it, but mostly it's just because I enjoy doing what I'm doing. But we're going to leave it there. We've done 5 videos this week. This one, I didn't really care how long it took. I got a bit of a hard on for trying to make 15-minute videos. I'm not going to be good at that. Going to try and do 5 videos again next week. Hopefully we can get enough content to do that. But yeah, have a great weekend, everybody. Hope you've enjoyed this week of content. Don't forget, if you got this from the video, hit like. If you're not a subscriber, hit subscribe. Leave a comment on any hands. I think there's a few hands in here that are very comment worthy, and I think the Pocket 8 is certainly one where it's worthy of lots of different comments from lots of different people. This one, clearly very non-standard. There's a couple of non-standard hands in here, so hopefully it's going to attract some comments. But I think we'll leave it there for now. Have a great weekend, and we'll be back on Monday, hopefully, with more content. Take care, everybody. Stay safe, and goodbye for now.